Hello. Today we are going to be talking about communication and why it is so important in really every aspect for deepening relationships, being better listener, being better involved with your clients. And there's kind of a way to do it and how to do it, but communication is not something we're like born naturally as great communicators, you know?
Wait, what were you saying? No. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Okay.
And you made me do the lead-in for communication.
I love communication. Right?
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still a dad. I still a dad. No, you're right. I mean, how do we get the information we need from the prospect, from the customer, from the interpersonal relationship? It's so hard because like I have my blinker going off in my head of what I want to say and the response to what you just said, but I really want to tell you. So I'm like, I can't wait to tell you. So stop talking so I can talk.
Right. And we all have our own opinions, right? And our own feelings on how somebody should look at or how, I mean, right now it's not very, we can see how opinionated people are. Just go on social media. Like
not a lot of filters anymore.
No, everyone has their own opinion. So when you think of communication, it's actually like a skill we have to develop because we really have to learn how to listen to people. Like you said, how not to think about what I'm going to say. Like there's so many times I'll like think of a point while somebody's talking, but then I go back to listening to them that I completely forget what I was going to say.
I know, and it was gold. Like that was like the cure.
Like, shit, but I was listening so intently that I like, you said something and I repeat it back and I'm like, wait, let me get this back. Let me get this back. Yeah. But there's a little acronym to help us kind of learn how to communicate better.
Yeah.
And Ryan loves it so much.
I love it. Well, you're right. There's no schooling on this. We don't go into this in grade school or college, or I mean, it's something that some people have high emotional quotient and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, some people have very high EQ.
Right, and some people organically are able to just have the skill, and some people don't.
I mean, how many times have we said, read the room, bro, to like somebody else or something because they're just EQ, like there is no emotional intelligence. They just came in with their agenda and it was like, whoa, read the room, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all the star of our own show and we want to tell, and telling is not selling. Questions, getting the answer, internalizing that and identifying a solution for the person. So in the sales scenario, it's like the opposite of what we want to do is just vomit all over our client with words, right? Yeah. So yeah, LUV, right? Yes, so what's L?
LUV. So L is actually very much intently and presently listening. Like, So what does that mean to be presently listening? Like putting down your agenda, going into the conversation with not having your opinions ready to blurt out, not having how you could advise on that or how you could give them advice on something or, you know, putting your phone away too. A lot of us, we don't realize how distracting it is when we have it there. I know you and I try to do a really good job of leaving our phones in the office when we go into meetings and stuff because it's distracting when it vibrates or even like when my watch goes off and it's like, we have text messages and clients and I'm like, and I'm trying to have a conversation and my watch is bzz, bzz, bzz. So now my watch is always on airplane mode. So it's not doing that.
Well, it's hard to be making eye contact, giving non-verbal cues that you're listening, leaning in, really making, like there's ways to listen intently.
Right. Well, and it's really funny too, because if you look at like the dynamic between how males and females listen to each other, women, we talk to each other like this. We do that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally. Like we use those little vocal cues, or we are forward facing to each other. And guys, like they did a study between girls and boys like could sit there and be playing video games and having a full conversation with each other. So
no eye contact, no verbal, non-verbal body language.
We say I'm sure you've heard it from your wife, like, you're not listening to me because you're like over here doing something, but you heard every word she said and you were like, I was listening. I just was over here, not facing you.
Well, then there's selective amnesia, but that's a different video, right?
Right. So when it comes to listening and listening intently, we have to train ourselves to be able to like lean in, yet put the phone down, have the conversations, because naturally we don't do that.
Well, I think of like being an empty vessel. Like, okay, I'm really leaving my opinions and my ego and all my self-interest at the door for just a minute so I can really take in what it is you're trying to communicate. So that's obviously important with the parent-child relationship, with romantic relationships period. But in the client-consultant relationships, it's critical because asking questions and getting a layer deeper to the reason why, to the pain point, or to the emotional driver, you're only going to arrive there through questions and actually listening. But they're going to give, the good news is they give you all the answers to the test. But if I'm sitting there talking about my trip and then how my weekend was and I'm stressed about this and me, I can never arrive at what it is about them that's causing this thing that they need my services for in the first place, right?
Yeah. Well, I think of like in sales, like you said earlier, we all go in with our agenda of this and this, and this is what they need, and we're going to paint the house and do all this. And as salespeople, a lot of times we go in and we think they need to do this, they need to do this. And when we listen, it's completely different than what our agenda is, than what we come into. Because they could be really struggling and they just need to kind of get a grasp on their sphere on how we can help them with that. We can't even talk about going after business-to-business relationships or distressed when they're just trying to focus on this. But when we go in with our agenda, it's like bam, 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 but we have to listen, and we do such a good job at really being able to identify where we can help them. And I think of, selling houses, things, anything, you have to listen for that emotional driver. Because if somebody is saying like, I want to sell because I want to be closer to my family in Montana or closer to my family here, and you're talking about market times being 6 weeks out and 3 months out, and this is what we're looking at, and you might be completely missing the boat. That they might just want to all cash offer.
The quickness is for them.
And when you go in with your agenda, you don't quite listen to what their emotional drivers are. And like you said, by the questions, the more questions you can ask, that's when you're really listening. That's when you're letting them. Have you ever had a conversation with someone when they're just going, and you're like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, great conversation. And you're like, I didn't even talk.
Like that person that never asked you about you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all have somebody like that in our lives.
I mean, I know I'm quite a talker, but I also do try to ask a lot of
disclaimer,
questions.
we are very much on the student side of this, learning this whole listening thing, because we can jabberwocky all day long. But I agree. You have to, 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? Use them in proportion.
Yes.
And especially when you're trying to help somebody, like let them tell you. And then really hear them, and it's a struggle, and it can be very difficult if you got a lot of stuff going on. But if you can separate it and just get into the conversation and really get more out of them by listening, it's critical to communicating.
Right. Well, and that's why this is a skill. And like you said, this isn't taught in school. And I think it's something that should be taught in school because communication is the basis of all foundation of any relationship, of romantical, business-wise, friendship-wise. Like that's the base level of any kind of trust-building relationship is communication.
Absolutely.
So I fully think this should be taught in school. I mean, you get to college and then you can take communications, but they don't have that in growing up or elementary school or anything like that. So that's huge. So listening is...
And I love one quick tip is tell me more about that, or what else, all right? Listen and don't...
relate.
Listen, don't relate. When I hear about your ski trip and I'm like thinking about my ski trip and I want to tell you about all the things I did, say, hey, tell me more about that. Or like, what else did you guys do? Or there's certain questions that can get more out of them, and it's counterintuitive. It's like, it's not going to be the first thing that comes to your mind.
You want to relate to build like some kind of relevant
common ground.
Yeah.
But you just ask a question that gets them digging deeper. Yeah. And again, we are very much on the student side.
Yeah, and you can go deeper and have it, and then say, when you ask a few questions in that, I had that same kind of feeling when I went to Canada too. It really hit me emotionally. I love that you felt that same way. Totally different than kind of hijacking the conversation and being
which we've all done.
Oh,
everybody's guilty.
Was awesome. Well, let me tell you how much awesomer my ski trip was.
You went to Big Bear? I went to Mammoth. It was amazing.
Yeah, Big Bear's nothing. Let me tell you about Mammoth.
I'll tell you about Sugar Bowl and Heavenly. Vail. I know.
So we've all done that. Guilty. Like both hands.
As charged.
Because it's natural for us to want to relate and be like, oh, I had this kind of, because then you're like, oh, you ski, you snowboard, I do the same thing. So that's huge. That little tip of really trying to ask the questions, go deeper, ask a few questions in, and be like, oh, I really felt that same way. Or I
Make
had
it a
the same
game.
experience.
Make
How
it a
many
game.
questions can you ask?
How many questions can you ask? And before you talk about yourself, like it's a little game. You know, some of us have to gamify things. You know. So LUV, it's more than just a ribs joint in East County. Okay.
Which I had no idea about. And then so you is really understanding. And so we kind of, it's hard to really make somebody feel like you understand when you have your own opinion or you have your own judgment. But there's words you can say, like, I can totally see where you got that from, or like, I understand that. Like,
that makes sense. What you're going through.
That makes sense. Like, I can see how you came to that. Like, there's things that you can say to people, to whether you have your own opinion or not. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know, they can all feel their own way, and if they feel that way, we're almost like gaslighting them when it's like, well, you shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, well, why do you feel that way? You shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
People can feel the way they want. And when you can really understand people, especially right now, like with different divides and politics, real estate, all the different things, when you can listen to someone and then understand like how they got to the way they feel or their conclusion, cool. I'm glad that's how you got there. Like, that's
I mean,
how you
and
feel.
questions, again, questions. How did that make you feel? Or like, what was that like?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine going through that. What was that like? And believe me, they will talk after that. How did that make you feel? Well, did you get over it? Or like, what is it still going on? Like, it just invites so many more questions and unraveling the whole issue. Because if you care about this person or some level of communication is going on, you want to really try to understand from their seat, right? Because like you said, I have my opinions, I have my judgments, you know, I have all that. And if I can get it from their perspective and being customer centric or wife centric or boyfriend centric or whatever it is, in the scenario you're dealing with, child centric, like I need to understand 13-year-old twins sometimes. So I got to get out of my 48-year-old brain
and get into a 13-year-old twin
where are these guys
mindset?
coming from? You know, and I can ask them questions and I can understand from their point of view, and maybe it helps me because then my actions and responses to what they're doing, I at least understand their behavior. Same thing with clients, same thing with people in our lives. Really seeking to understand and getting a little deeper from their point of view, I think gives us the advantage.
Oh, totally. And well, because then it makes them feel like you're really listening to them. Back to listening, when you can ask them the questions and really putting your judgment and your feelings to the side and really just try to understand their feelings or how they got there, people leave conversations of like, wow, they really listened to me. They really had a deep conversation. And
they feel like you care. And I mean, hey, secret tip, actually care.
Actually care. Like, there is a secret tip, like, be empathetic, have sympathy for, I feel like
it helps if you really care.
Well, and that's where kind of having that EQ coming in, that emotional intelligence, like, you can tell when someone just really doesn't care and they're just like, all right, they only have their agenda. We all have people in our lives that we know they only care about one person in their life, and that's usually themselves. And when you can come in and really care and have that understanding of like, okay, yeah, I could totally see where you got that. Like, I could totally see where you're coming from on that side. People really leave that of like, wow. And then if you can do the last part of it, the V, which is really hard in communication for us to do, but validate someone, whether you agree with them or not. Like, I know you have a great thing of like, what's your little line to validate?
What I hear you
when
saying?
You tell your wife, when you talk to Kelly. If you're watching this,
the
Kelly.
cat's out of the bag.
Sorry, Kelly, if you're watching this.
You may be right.
You may be,
you right.
really may be right on that situation.
Because it's so like, neutral, but I feel validated. A better one is...
that's stuff just with your wife.
What I'm hearing, that's funny. Yeah. What I'm hearing is...
What I
think I'm hearing you say is, and then you give it back to them and they say, they can correct you at that point. But look, I care, I listened, and I'm feeding it back to you to validate. Or like what I think you're getting at is, or what I'm getting from this, or there's so many different ways for you to kind of repeat it back to them to validate their feelings.
Yeah.
You know, because these can be vulnerable situations. What if you're dealing with a divorce scenario, listing their house? There's going to be a lot of this.
Even like I see you. Yeah, I totally see that. Like, that's valid. You don't have to agree with them, but if you listen to them, you understand, you ask the questions, you can totally see where they get to their own opinions from. So it's like, I see that. Yeah.
Or how about when you're hanging with your friends, like, you know, very casual environment, and somebody says, yeah, I get that. And people say that to each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
But it's
totally
like
get that.
It's like a little. It's like oh, okay, cool. Like I see you, like you said, and then we feel there's a comfort level, there's a trust, and the thing is so much. You could really care about this person and want the best for them, and butcher this communication, this LUV, and really care, and then they feel like you're closed off, like you don't give a rip about them because you ran off about your own stories. But when you stop and really listen without prejudice, listen without judgment, and then ask them more, to go deeper, to understand them more, and then validate and put it back to them and say, what I'm hearing is, it's so powerful, because man, we are dying to be heard, to be loved, to be seen. And when you give that to somebody, I don't think they soon forget it.
No. I mean, what is it? People forget what you say, but they don't forget how you made them feel.
Right?
That is huge. And that goes right along with communication. I mean, people really, really resonate with like, man, she made me feel so good. I know when I see people, if I haven't seen them in a while, and I get that instant feeling of like, oh, I love when I'm around. Like, I think I'm going and seeing my best friend out in Miami. Like, I hadn't been around her in a year, and I went around, and it was like that energy of just like, oh, she listens, she understands, we vibe, we care with each other. And you just know when those people like make you feel like, honestly, as cheesy it is, but like warm inside, like, wow, this person gets me. Like, they're really paying attention.
And how many times has she probably sat there and listened and cared about you?
Yeah.
Right? And you develop that over time. And it becomes a safe place for people.
Yeah.
I just think that the trust that it engenders is something we're all looking to be better at. And that's a nice skill set to have for doing it.
Yeah. And like we were saying, this is something like we're all still trying to get better at. Like, it is really hard to be listening intently to someone without any distractions, without like somebody walking by, you see, distraction, like it is really hard to be there, ask questions, go deeper with sometimes, and like get that kind of communication out. But that's where those become very solid relationships, when people know they can count on you to actually be there to listen to them. Sometimes people just need a vent, and you just gotta be there to listen to them.
Absolutely. And you know what? It seems like a small thing, and it seems very like woo-woo-y or like psychotherapy type stuff. But you don't win by like huge gaping holes. You win usually by a nose, right? And this could be one of the skill sets that you get proficient at listening and making people feel heard, and then feeding it back to them and understanding what their needs are. And they walk away saying, man, that guy really gave a shit about us. Like, he knows the situation we're in. And like, we get upset clients, the prelim or the way the thing is held in title is causing all this drama. And the first thing we do is stop and listen. Listen. Tell me more about that. Well, what's causing this? Well, how does the client feel about this? Would you like me to call the client and disarm them? And it kind of unloads the gun, because they're coming in like, your I love blah, 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 and they're hot, right? Yeah. So we got to unload the gun. How can we do that? We can listen, we can understand, we can validate, and then get into solution. Yeah. But if I try to get into solution too soon and the gun's still loaded, like, they're giving me both barrels still. Yeah. So we got to learn the power of listening.
I think that's so critical, because we've had some pretty challenging transactions. Like, like
yesterday.
No transaction has been like a vanilla one. But that's what we say to our clients. We say, this is why you use us, because we will listen, we will get in there with you, we will figure this out with you, and we will get into solution mode. But we really put ourselves in the agent's position when there's an item on the prelim that's making things go sideways, and we're like, yeah, like, if that was my seller, they would be pissed too. Like, I can understand that. Like, we put ourselves in that position, and then we go and like, okay, do we need to call them? How can we help on this? We're jumping into a solution right away. So it's having that little extra care of 5 minutes of like, we got this. Like, we're in this together. We want this to close with you. We will find the solution to the pathway on this.
And when they feel they're in the grouping with you and they feel understood and that you care, it goes way back to tribal days of Neanderthals and stuff. But there's an us psychology. And if there's an us, then there's a them. Right? And if we don't make it an us, then we're part of them to them. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you care and you listen, you say, I get this. And then it's a common goal that we're going to strive towards, and we're going to do this together. Now it's us against the world. And if you can get that kind of a level of psychological feeling about your relationship with the customer, with your wife, with your kids, with your homies, then that is better than being in the them. It's an us. And it's really kind of a unifying, bonding thing. So, and it's something like listening, as simple as just listening and feeding back to them. can really support that.
Yeah. So I think that's what we got for you today, unless you have any extra nuggets on LUVE.
We will be right next to you learning how to be better listeners. I can assure you that. But I mean, thank you so much. We really appreciate the opportunity to work with all y'all. And until next time.
Yeah. I'm Haley.
I'm Ryan.
Bye.
Bye.